Tapeworms. Hypochondriacs don't necessarily fear death, they just believe everything is about to kill them. Growing up, my hypochondria was the touchstone of my adolescence. Let's just say puberty is a bitch, anxiety disorder or not. But for me, every time I witnessed a change in my body, from armpit hair to the inevitable menstruation, instead of chalking it up to the progression of life into adulthood, I freaked the fuck out and pleaded to go to the emergency room. Suddenly the emergence, how did I not see it before, on my pronounced collarbone, got me into a fit of terror. I run up to my mom, who is watching TV in the living room. "What's this?" I cry, using both hands to cover my chest area where the protruding bones appeared. "I don't know, what are you pointing at?" my mother answers, unaware that children can be so incredibly unaware of their own bodies. I scrunch into a ball on the floor, hoping that tomorrow I will go back to the way I was before. While my body was changing, seemingly overnight, I sought answers in a creepy medical textbook my parents kept in a cupboard. No book jacket, just hundreds of pages enclosed in a navy blue hardcover. Along with a matter-of-fact symptoms and diagnosis section for many common ailments, there was also a section that showed photos. Pictures of body parts covered in scabies, rosacea-tinted arms and legs, ringworm, jaundice. The page that I always turned to, though, was a photo of a black, hairy tongue. Stuck out in defiance with a dark, thick coat of gorilla hair filling in the middle part of the tongue, it became a reoccurring character in my nightmares. As a child, even thinking about it now as an adult, I was horrified. Get curious. And while I didn't understand the implications then, I vividly remember reading that one of the causes was masturbation. I vowed never to come close to masturbation, believing it might be a plant, or some sort of chemical kept under the sink. The thing about hypochondria is that believing you have it is a symptom of the disorder. And the worse you think it is, the more you are proving the point. Nights I would toss and turn, until my sister, hardly a year older, would come up to my lying body in the dark and place her hand on my chest, breast buds starting to form. "Can you hear it?" "Yeah, it's okay." She'd sit there until I dozed off, hand gently resting. It went on like this for years. In the 6th grade, I went to an emergency room 9 times. I didn't attend school for a month and a half. It was one of the worst periods in my childhood, and an altogether checkered one. It started with a real banal infection, bronchitis. Winter was particularly cold that year, and the Central Valley air made it difficult to breathe some days. Bored and alone, waiting for my parents to come home from work, I would read the medical textbook. Before I knew it, what became a small throat virus was first diagnosed by me as esophageal cancer. A headache was a brain tumor, and a pain in my abdomen meant my appendix burst. My long-suffering parents tried to reason with me, but I would cut them off. "You're not a doctor," I would wail. Not that I would always believe doctors anyway. When I returned to school, my prognoses continued. I favored parasitic infections. The more exotic, the better. A bookishly shy child, it's not exactly that I wanted to acquire dengue fever. It was more like it would be a very good excuse for my introverted behavior. "I'm sorry, I can't go play skip-it with you today. I think I'm coming down with Chagas disease." But one of my all-time favorites, my go-to, my old standby, was tapeworms. Every time I lost a few pounds, or my appetite, I believed a tapeworm was having its way inside my gut. Its segmented body growing millimeter by millimeter as it consumed the nutrients that were supposed to nourish me. Sometimes, late on a Thursday afternoon, alone in my apartment, I still Google tapeworms. And it was tapeworms that got stuck in my head for most of my teenage years. They grew of mythological importance in my mind, and maybe, if I'm going to be honest, substituted for other relationships. They were my tapeworms. And just like some people in our lives, I suffered with their neediness and came to regard them as another part of myself, especially after my sister left for college. I eventually, through the discovery of sex, which has its own set of frightful diseases to consume my attention, let my tapeworms go. That doesn't mean they finally came out, they never were really there. But just like giving up that final teddy bear, I dewormed the last remnants of my childhood. Later in life, after out-of-state college towns and a meandering idleness, we find ourselves, my sister and I, in the same city at the same time. I get a call one night from the ER. It's my sister. She thinks she has a brain tumor, and I realize my hypochondria has jumped ship. She calls it brain pain and doesn't understand why the nurses are not immediately ringing up for an MRI. I would later find out that it was nothing serious, just what amounted to a migraine. But now she is frazzled and scared, lying on a hospital bed, fidgeting with her phone. I place my hand on her chest and feel and listen. Nodding, I say, "It's okay."